here so far. This is a conference called Holocaust, Persecution, and Refugees, so obviously very serious topics. So far we've had some really outstanding speakers talking about what's happening in the Ukraine. So Natalia and her host family were speaking. That would be Greg and Linda Benda. And that was just really extraordinary what they had to say about what it took to help Natalia escape the Ukraine and what's going on there and the efforts of her host family. Then we had our two previous speakers, Renee Lichtman and Esther Lupien, and they were talking about the Holocaust and what it was like to be a child and the loss that they experienced. I don't know if it's clear, but in Esther's situation, only her mother and her survived. All those other pictures, I don't know if that's clear, but there was nobody left. And for Renee, as you know, his immediate family, over time, they didn't make it. So the role of rescuers and people willing to take in children, take in strangers, because it was the right thing, was absolutely critical. Now, our speaker now is Dr. Bassim Gorial. He's very qualified to give this presentation on what's going on with ISIS in the Middle East, in the countries of Iraq and Syria. I know a lot of Americans aren't necessarily certain about all the different groups that live in there, but there are many different distinct cultures with their own languages, their own customs, their own religions, and ISIS is kind of like an earthquake or a tornado in terms of the amount of sheer destruction that's happening to these cultures and these people. So it's important to understand that. I will say also, Dr. Bassim Gorial is the founder and CEO of the Aramaic Broadcasting Network. So he has a radio station that talks about some of the current issues that are going on. And he also tries to let people know about, he just got off a session called The Marathon, and I'm going to let him tell you about the different aspects of what's going on, as well as kind of what he's trying to do. So let's give him a warm welcome. Thank you, Dr. Bassim Gorial.
Good afternoon, everyone, and I'm glad to be here with you. I would like to give a special thanks to Professor Craig for inviting me to this evening. I'm excited to share with you some of the pain that the Middle East, the innocent people of the Middle East are going through, and especially minorities like Yazidis, some Christians, or Kurdish, or others who are not Arabs or not sharing the same faith that the majority are there. But I would like to share with you also a few pictures, and this is just like the summary. Okay, I tried in the last 24 hours to share with you so that the pictures themselves, they will be speaking. At the end, if we have time, I would be more happy to answer any questions. But I would like just to start that, do you know that today in 2014, still there is a country in this world that we are living in, it's full with demonic powers, and every day there is something between 100, every day I said, between 100 to 1,000 innocent people. Every day I said, between 100 and 1,000 people killed or tortured or kidnapped in the last, especially in the last 14 years. How many of you know that still sexual slavery in 2014, sexual slavery, forced marriage, beheading and mass executions, torture, and families are taking place every day in Iraq and Middle East, and soon I'm going to share with you some of these facts. And by the way, you could just visit Wikipedia and just type ISIS or ISIL, and what I'm going to say is just like 10% of what is there. What do you see the future forecast of Middle East? Probably some of you not very much interested in that, but those who are like watching news or CNN or internet, you've heard something little here and there. But in this hour, I try to focus on Iraq and Syria, but especially in Iraq because I am Iraqi. We said about ISIS. I will tell you what ISIS represents because time is important. But in terms of military and arms, ISIS, well, let's start with ISIS. ISIS is 4 characters, IS, and later on it became just IS. They changed their name. It's not only a terrorist group, but something unique. The history, the world never seen this kind of atrocities and torture and killing and murder. ISIS, it means I stand for Islamic, S, state, I, the third character, I for Iraq, and the last S for Syria or Sham. And so ISIS today, well, they vary in terms of number and fighters between 10,000 to 200,000 fighters. They started about last June, let's say, around 10,000. Today they are more than around 200,000. And according to New York Times, in September 2014, there were more than 2,000 Europeans and 100 Americans among ISIS. And now the number is increasing, and the West trying to do more restrictions, not to join them, but still the number of ISIS fighters are increasing. In October 2014, 3,000 Tunisians from Tunis, they joined ISIS. 1,000 Turkish people, Turkish young men and women, joined ISIS. ISIS captured nuclear materials from Mosul University in Iraq in July. And that's where it started in July, suddenly out of nowhere. A big city, the second biggest city in Iraq after Baghdad, was captured with this small group called ISIS. And then I will share with you what's behind it, who is financing it, and what's their goal, and why are they doing this. ISIS have used chemical weapons. Turkey, which is north of Iraq, they supported ISIS, and the whole story why I'm giving this little introduction, because I want you to understand, to prepare your mind after this introduction to see what they have done and to forecast what is their plan and goal. And does that mean probably we will find them here in America? There are some of them here in America, but they are like sleeping cells, all right? Turkey supported ISIS, allowing the flow of fighters and weapons across its border. ISIS actually, it's not only they are persecuting people, but they enjoy mass killing and beheading. That's what we're going to see. And I'm sorry, I'm going to show a few pictures just be aware that if you don't like, just don't look. Okay, some of those pictures, it's like bloody, dangerous, fearful pictures. Now, in July 2014, somebody called Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. Let me start. This is the leader of ISIS, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. And Abu Bakr it was the first caliph of Islamic State after Prophet Muhammad died, and Abu Bakr was number one. Now, Abu Bakr, the name Abu Bakr, it's someone to deal about Sunni. You know, there are some religious divisions in Islam, and so there are Sunnis and there are Shiites. And Abu Bakr represents Sunnis. Actually, the Shiite, like Iran, people who like from Iran, in that time they disagree with this Caliph Abu Bakr because they thought that it should have been Ali. That should be the first caliph. Anyway, that's just a little information. So Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. Al-Baghdadi, it means from Baghdad. So he is now the big guy. Obviously, he has a lot of other leaders and directors underneath him, apart from when you go to the very low of the fighters, Arabs or European, or from Pakistan, from Croatia, from Afghanistan, from even Indonesia, from Australia, and the number is growing. In last July, Abu Bakr and his group, in one night, they captured the second big city after Baghdad in Iraq, and after that, like within a few weeks, another 4 to 5 cities, they fell into the hand of this group called ISIS. And people, especially young men and women, they are joining this group from Iraq, from Palestine, from Pakistan, from Egypt, Libya, Tunisia, and Europe. And Europe now, especially like from France, UK, and Germany, there's a lot of restriction, but still they want to go and join. Now, these here are some of the pictures of them. You can tell that terrorists. These are their training in some of the places of Iraq and Syria. Behead those who insult Islam. Freedom, go to hell. This is from Europe. Okay. And now, the Middle East, I just want to quickly to explain to you about, and later on, I hope I'll have time to see what brought this today, this group ISIS, and something to do with the government and policies and religion and groups. So Iraq, this is the north part of Iraq. The north of Iraq is Turkey, on the left Syria, and then Jordan on the under Syria, then Iran, and then we have like Saudi Arabia and Kuwait at the southern part of Baghdad. And really, Mosul is somewhere here, which is a small state. We called it Nineveh, and the city of Mosul was here, and I was born from north of Mosul, 48 kilometers. So my wife and I, we are from the same place. We left Iraq in 1986 to Britain to study to do PhD in agricultural engineering, and then from there we stayed 10 years, and then we came here. as I came here as a missionary, and I was really translating the Bible into Chaldean language, because that's my background, and then it ended up in media, and now, as Professor Craig mentioned, that we have a network in 4 languages going through satellite to North America and Australia through the satellite. Now, here is the story, but you know, before and until 1990, it was Saddam Hussein ruling. And I myself, like, I lived kind of like under the same dictatorship of Saddam since I was like teenager. And I didn't see, apart from a system of brutality and fear. Actually, when I left Iraq to do PhD in Britain, we stayed 10 years in Britain. Believe it or not, for 10 years, I'm not going to say every week, but maybe once a month, I used to dream those fearful dreams as if like Saddam, he's going to arrest me, he's going to capture me, and he will butcher me. While I was no opposition to Saddam, I was like, actually my wife and I, we were professors in colleges in Iraq. But just that big name, Iraq, Saddam, that was the fear that we were brought up. But those days, they were good days comparing to what's happening now. I visited Iraq after the fall of Saddam, and I have a lot of relatives still there. Some of them, they are refugees in Kurdistan. We're trying to support them, but anyone who would grow in those kind of regimes and countries, even the mentality will be different, start thinking different. But thank God that God snatched me and my family, and He brought me to a great country of America. And now, what we are doing is we're trying to help those who do not have this freedom that me and you have. They do not have freedom of speech, no freedom of religion, no freedom to live. And through this network, we are trying to give the message of hope and encouragement. And you could visit our websites or this thing. But let me, or how this ISIS, how do they use their method, their system? And since July, the method that they started, it was so powerful, so fearful, so evil, so that any city or any village or any town, once they heard that ISIS is coming, everyone has to leave quickly because of what they have heard, what happened to the towns before them. And I'm sorry, I have to, this is one of the British guy who he was beheaded. These are arrested to be killed, mass killing, and just playing with heads of innocent people, just no opposition. By the way, this is not a matter of opposition like this is from this political party that, or this is from just because their identity. They are not Muslims, or even some Muslims, they do not believe in the Sunni sect, or that kind of denomination of Islam. And that is every day since July, since they started. But before that, they were also in Syria doing these kind of things. And till now, they are on Syria, but they are focusing in Iraq because Iraq, there's a history, there is shrines and mosques, old one, which are something else between Shia and Sunni. And like these are children killed. And I just want to say one little story. When they captured Nineveh or Mosul, they wouldn't allow anyone to be apart from Muslims. And not only Muslims, only Sunni. And by the way, Mosul is all of them. Most of them, they were Sunnis. But there were some Kurdish, some Yazidis, some Christian minorities. And they had to leave. Some of them, they were killing them. But for Christians, either you have to pay jizya, like taxes to Islam, or you have to leave. And while they were leaving to the checkpoints to go to north, just like walking, even like if somebody would have cell phone or watch or ring or a few dollars, they have to rip him off or her of everything and then walk. In a car, nothing. But there was a family, a father, a mother, and 3-year-old daughter. They took everything, and then they took the girl also. And the mother kept begging, crying. Finally, they didn't give her, and with a few beats and beating things, and then the mother and the father, they had to go. Otherwise, there's killing. Until now, that woman, that mother, she's going crazy, and you can, if you search, you will find her in YouTube things. That is the kind of torture and threats and disasters that these innocent people. Another story of Christians in Mosul, very little in number, like something, let's say, 10,000, less than 10,000. When they started, they were giving them the option either to pay jizya or to leave. And suddenly, all the Christian houses there in Nineveh, they found next day morning, like a piece of paper and written in it, N in Arabic, noon. Noon, which means this house is Nasrani. Nasrani like Christian or Nazarene, okay, from that Nazareth. So even though any family that nobody knows about them, they are Christians, that those letters, and then right away ISIS would come, knock the door, get out of here. Okay. So they had to leave. Now, there is obviously persecution, beheading, masculine, as you saw, identity, and especially Yazidis. Yazidis, they were very brutal with the Yazidis. Just because they do not believe in their ideology, or because they do not want to convert into Islam. And obviously, when they captured Mosul, that city, they start applying Sharia law. What's Sharia law? It's the law of Islamic law when it was long time ago, in like 1400 years ago, when Prophet Muhammad started his organization or his message, let's say. And obviously, you see also sexual slavery, slavery market, and Christian persecutions. Churches, over 100 churches all were bombed and burned, and even Shiite mosques, even crucifying people. Like one story, a teenager in Ramadan, you are not allowed to eat through the day. From 6 morning until 6 evening, you can eat in your house, but you are not allowed to eat publicly. And one teenager was found that he was eating on the street, and they crucified him to teach lesson that Sharia, it means Sharia. And that's mass killing. And look, here's a normal street in Mosul after July, after the capturing of the city, and applying the Sharia. There's no court. The court is here. This is what you see is the court. Is they will punish that person, whether by a bullet or by sword or by 14 lashes, or according to the guy who is representing the judge, according to his Sharia. So this is one of the main square of Mosul. That is every day to teach lesson to others. What does it mean, ISIS, and what does it mean, our new system of Sharia law? I'm sorry, this is, I'm gonna just go quickly, turn it to the other one. But I want to share with you here when they did the beheading of the first American, his name Sotloff, and I don't want to go to that picture where they cut the head and then put it on the body. On September 2nd in 2014, ISIS released a video showing their beheading of Mr. Sotloff. And the executor says, well, before beheading, and they enjoy beheading, and when they behead in a special way. So he said, this executioner, he said, I am back, Obama. I am back because of your arrogant foreign policy towards the Islamic State, and because of your insistence on continuing your bombing on Mosul Dam, despite our serious warning. So just as your missiles continue to strike our people, our knife will continue to strike the necks of your people. We take this opportunity. Well, then obviously they beheaded a second one, another American. And they said, after they did the second one, they said, we take this opportunity to warn those governments that enter this evil alliance of America against the Islamic State to back off and leave our people. That was the message of that guy. There's so many things to say. You know, today there is 1.25 or 1.3 million refugees from Iraq and Syria. Some of them are my relatives. By the way, in the city of the little state of Nineveh, surrounding Nineveh or surrounding Mosul, there are about 9 or 10 small towns of Christians. And all of them, now, they are not there. They have to flee to Kurdistan, to the north, some others to Turkey or to Jordan or Syria, because of wiping out everyone. And now the winter has come, and all of them, they are kids, little children, families. And some of them, till now, they are living under a bridge or in the places. Yes, United Nations, they are trying to help, but what would they do with 1.3 million people? And there was one time, about a month and a half ago, there is a Yazidi big town, and they kicked them. Well, they followed them. ISIS followed that big city, and they went up to the mountain. And the United Nations and the government, they couldn't face them because they are so bad in killing. So they would go and give them food and clothes by helicopters on the mountain. Two things they did. Number one, they shot one of the helicopters down and they arrested the crew. And those food and the things that they were there, they took them to themselves. That's, if we talk about women, slavery, auction, there's auction for selling women. They arrest, they capture, abduct, and then there's auction, and you will see each one, how much is her price. She herself will carry her price in that market. And forced marriage. These fighters, let's say they will enter this town, some they will be killed, some others flee, and some others will be arrested. And they will have sex with girls or women, or they will marry them, forced marriage, for like 1 week. After that, then he will give her to other fighters, because that is also part of the Sharia, according to some of the books. So they are applying really something, a law of 1400 years ago. Though many Muslims today, they don't like this, they are criticizing this, but these guys, they are applying exactly what they are believing. And why are they doing this? Well, because of one word, and that word is ideology. And that ideology, it wasn't like 6 months ago. No, that ideology, it was in the region 1400 years ago. And these one of the towns, after they arrest, so they take them abduction, and here then they have to wear these things to take them to the market for selling them. I will come back to this. And here are some of the churches that have been burned, and even mosques, Shiite mosques. And here are some crucifying of those who don't accept their ideology, or they don't, let's say, don't want to convert into Islam or to their own secular religion. And now this is one of the Christian church in North, but these are not in the service or in a mass. No, they are here just because there's no shelter. And here is a crucifixion and crucifying. And this is one of the old church, about 1800 years ago. Now it's empty. Another crucifixion in the main squares, like today. Like imagine you was on the main squares of city. Okay, you will see this become like normal these days. And you're talking about not one town. You're talking about 6 big cities and the towns and villages surrounding it. So, as I said, 18 million Iraqis and Syrians, they are now living under the control of ISIS. They do not belong now to the central government of Iraq. And 2-3 days ago in on our network, we did a live talk show that there are some towns and villages, they are stuck in between. They do not have medicine, no hospital, nothing. They go to the north, to Kurdish government, please help. They say, listen, we do not have enough for ourselves. officially you belong to the central government, you should go and ask from Baghdad. They cannot go, there's no way to reach Baghdad. And even in the last 6 months, there's no salaries. So what we are doing is, or the team from Detroit, because there's so many Iraqis and Chaldeans, they're trying to plant few like medical centers there by donation and those kind of things. This is one of the Somali Christian beheaded for his faith. And here are some other pictures of refugees. Like this is when they were leaving Mosul. Okay. Thousands upon thousands. Just walking. And walking for how long? Walking like 20, 30 miles until they get to next village. And this is the refugees, really. That's the refugees. And now, these are, they were arrested to be sold. Now, until, let's say, a month ago, the weather was not bad. Although in the summer days it's very hot. But now the winter has come. And the winter in the north or in Iraq, it's much, much colder than here in Michigan. Yes, here we have snow. There they don't have snow, but the winter, the temperature is worse. And you know, if we decrease the temperature of our central heating a little bit, we are freezing. What do they think, these guys? And look, running, just the word ISIS, it's so fearful because they will take your wife, your daughters, they will, you might be beheaded, and disaster. And imagine just psychologically, what happened to these people and to those who are remaining. Okay. Look. And here is the market for selling these women. They arrest them and then they get money for them. Well, and this is just the last picture. The before and then after. These are some of Americans that they have joined ISIS. Now, as I said, in September 2014, how much time do I have, Professor?
Let's see. You have 25 more minutes.
Oh, good. I am good then. Then after that, maybe we will spend 5 minutes for questions. In September, as I said, in 2014, 8 million Iraqis and Syrians, they live in the area controlled by ISIS. And that is not from me. Everything I am telling you, I want you to go and check it from Wikipedia or other like sources that are trusted. And this number, that 8 million people, this is from Wall Street Journal. Groups use death threat, torture to compel conversion to Islam. Mass killing of prisoners of wars and civilians and sexual enslavement to Iraqi women and girls from minority Christians and Yazidi communities. Finance. How are they doing it? ISIS. They are so scary and powerful, but how are they doing it? You see, last June, when this organization, when they suddenly in one night, they captured Mosul. Okay, they obviously controlled everything. Like imagine God forbid, is they capture, or Michigan will fall into the hand of such country. So how much asset will be here, banks and etc. So last June, ISIS had assets worth $2 billion US. And this is really today the richest jihadist group in the world. 3/4 of these $2 billion were after capturing Mosul. Just 429 million US dollars were looted from Mosul's central bank. ISIS, believe it or not, ISIS is selling oil like just another country. And there are countries buying oil from ISIS. ISIS controls 300 oil wells in Iraq alone, apart from Syria. ISIS has captured 60% of Syrians' total production capacity. ISIS is making every day 2.5 million per day by selling 50,000 to 60,000 barrels of oil. And we are living in a free country, and we thank God that we have the total freedom to live, to speak, freedom of speech, freedom of religion. And if someone will convert to Christianity, will face persecution and possible death. Most of Middle Eastern, just in general, they have no freedom of worship like here, like us in the West. I wish I had more time, but there are three kinds of governments in the world. There is a government that is stable. A country is governed by a stable government, and there's order, like USA, Australia, Britain, New Zealand. Okay? There is stability and there's order today. There's another kind of the government. There is stability, but there is no order. Who runs is people like dictatorships, dictators, like Saddam Hussein, Hosni Mubarak, Al-Qaddafi, Hafez al-Assad. These guys, they would rule, they will bring stability. Like Saddam Hussein, he used to, if there's any opposition somewhere, he would ride his tank and he would go crush that group or those parties or those oppositions, and then he will bring order, bring stability, but no order. And the third one is when there is no stability and no order, just chaos. That's what we have in Iraq. What happened? Long time ago, some of the West, they brought these dictatorship to rule there, and they support them. And then the people of those countries, they started shouting or raising their voice, we need freedom, we need democracy, please help us, please, we do not want Saddam Hussein, or we do not want Hafez al-Assad or Mubarak. And then we thought here in the West that, it's bad to help people. So we would go and spend money and remove those dictators. But this kind of fundamentalist terrorist groups like ISIS, they were not crushed, but they could not move because of those dictators. When the dictators has been removed, then these people like ISIS came. Because there's a gap now. There's no political party to run. So, but the majority of people who were shouting and asking, please help us, we need freedom, we need democracy, they were liars. Maybe 5%, yes, but 95% of them, they were liars. They just want America or the West to remove that regime so that they will come to power, and here's what we got now in Iraq. Well, I would better to stop here, and then if we would like to questions, yes, I can take questions, please. We have about 15 minutes to spend, otherwise, yes.
Why do some of
I'm sorry, I have problem in hearing, so if Professor Greg could help me.
why do some of the ISIS cover their faces when they're committing these acts and others not? And in the crucifixion, you had a bunch of people in the background, and it appeared as though they had cell phones. Is this something that they're all proud of, or are they concerned about themselves, or?
She was saying that they cover their faces, but they do these actions, and then they have cell phones. So she wants to know the motivation for that.
Yes. Well, you know, I'm sorry to say this word, but forgive me to say it, because they are cowards. If they hide, but they do these evil things. Well, they covered, why do they cover their faces? That is because they are terrorists, and because nobody would know them. Because what you have seen here on pictures, in case like, for his life, in case like tomorrow something happened, at least not to be diagnosed or known that he was part of this group. Yes. Yes.
What do you think is the best way to stop ISIS?
Good question. Well, the best way to stop ISIS, number one, military, it's important, but it's temporary. I don't think by military we will be able to overcome ISIS or to stop them. Why? Because they are sprouting from everywhere. Okay, from Indonesia, Australia, Finland, Croatia, everywhere, Russia. So, like Al-Qaeda, we thought like if we kill Osama, that's it, it's going to be done. But still, Al-Qaeda, so many Osamas came after that. The other issue is, if you talk about the Sharia and the books of Islam, that's cannot be changed. You cannot say, okay, remove this chapter or cut this verse. And I would say, I was in Iraq without any faith, but in Britain, I understand, I became true Christian, true believers. And I was not good in Iraq when I was living in Iraq. But since God has changed my heart, I'm giving my testimony, since God changed me, therefore God is able to change them. But to change them, or let's put it this way, is they are using a very powerful, evil way to do this. In order to overcome this evil, powerful ideology, you have to come with another ideology that is more powerful, and that ideology is the ideology of love, peace, forgiveness, and saving human lives. And I have seen that ideology, it's working in me. It means it will work in everyone. Yes?
Two things. One, do you think that ideology has any chance of working on people that irredeemably evil, or that we have to exterminate them? And the second question is, who's buying that oil?
Who is behind them?
No, who's
Well,
buying the oil?
okay. But I'm going to answer the second question, but the first question, I didn't hear it clearly, so please later on remind me.
Okay.
Who is buying the oil from them? First one is Turkey. And through Turkey, there are so many other countries because it's a black market. And today, there's no conscience in humanity. We are living in the last days. So any country, he said, I don't care if this is killing the Iraqis or humanitarian issue. As long as I'm going to give the barrel for half price, who cares? And I don't know how many other countries they are, but they are selling every day about $2.5 million from the oil. What was the first
What was
question?
your first question?
You were talking about,
Did you think that people could be influenced by the ideology, or was
well,
that?
you're saying the only way to stop it is to change people's ideology to away from that, but I'm saying people that are that irredeemably evil, you think there's any way to affect them, or do they just have to be exterminated?
And a ripple effect, because there's cells, I think, even in Minnesota. I'm not sure about that.
So, can you explain?
Okay, they're basically asking, you felt that having a better ideology that emphasized forgiveness and love and kindness and saving people peace, that was the answer. But his question was, do you think people that are doing these terrible, terrible things can be reached with that, or will see the light, or do you think, he's saying, do they just have to be exterminated? He's saying they're really evil.
No, although this is a secular college, but from the Bible, there was a terrorist one day in the Middle East, and that terrorist was brutal, butchering, killing, taking people to prison, and God changed him from Saul to Paul, who wrote 1/3 of the New Testament, and he planted churches, and he got the revelation from God. God can use any terrorist to bring people to peace and to a better life. Yes? Yes?
Where are they purchasing their weapons from?
Good question. Their weapons. The first thing is when they captured Nineveh, all the weapons of that huge second city in Iraq, they were even the nuclear, okay, they got. So they got the weapons, the American, the USA weapons, made in USA, they are using those weapons. Plus, because they are now multi-billionaire, so if you have money, you can get anything. And even Saudi Arabia and Qatar, these are the major two Arabic countries that they are supporting, they were supporting, and they're standing behind them, and like Turkey, and everyone in the world knew this fact. Okay, so if you have money, if you have support, and by the way, this ideology, it's called in Arabic Al-Wahhabiyya, Salafiyya. This ideology is right from the heart of Saudi Arabia system and belief. Yes?
Two questions. Why are they not bombing the oil production?
Who?
United States.
There is. United States, we are bombing some of them.
But why not? I mean, there's enough firepower in the world to just put it out, right?
Yes, there are places you cannot, like for example, in Iraq, south of Nineveh, south of Mosul, there's a huge refining factory. That's the only thing we have in Iraq. It's called Masfa al-Beji. Masfa al-Beji is that if that will be bombed, then the whole Iraq will be frozen from oil, okay? You will not find any car moving. You will not find any engine working. So we cannot bomb that one because we need to live our daily life as Iraqis, I'm saying. So that's why they have also gas stations in Nineveh and everything, life going normal, because they are getting it. But there are some places, some other places that are under their control and small. We are bombing them as the West. But there are places where the well, it's crowded with villages and human, and they take human shield to so that fighters, you cannot go and fight anywhere, bomb anywhere. Okay. Yes. Sorry.
With that, the biggest question I get out of that, or out of all of this, is why are not other Muslims that are more moderate coming against it? Why are the Western countries so helping to oppose it while most of the Muslim countries are lying dormant?
For example, really to get the best group Muslims who oppose ISIS are Shiite. And in Iraq we have the 2/3 of Muslims of Iraq, they are Shiite. And Iran is Shiite. But the political situation and the relationship between the West and the nuclear of Iran, okay, we cannot like go shake hand with Iran, come let's become together one and to fight ISIS. But ideologically, yes, Shiite of Iran or Khomeini and Ayatollah and all those kind of groups, they are against ISIS.